The Blades Ramble is proudly sponsored by My Business Group, a group of brands designed to support owners, leaders and managers in business. Contact mybusinessgroup.co.uk for more information or follow the link in the description below.
Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
What is happening, Blades, and welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I am, of course, Jimmy, and this is 10-minute transfers. We are back. Now the wheels are starting to turn again under the Ruben Selles era. I still can't get it right. So good luck to me when we're linked with all these sort of targets that you can see on the side of my screen. Apologies to those that are listening on an audio platform, because we are now available on Spotify and Apple and Amazon and wherever you get your music downloads and podcast downloads. So Emirhan Topcu, I'm going for, has been linked with Sheffield United. Before we get into this, I do want to say thank you to everybody that joined us last night for 3 Mardy Blades. That will be a weekly show going forwards on the channel starting from next month. So thank you to everybody. Sunday at 7 we're aiming for. That's the time we've got penciled in for a 3 Mardy Blades show every Sunday at 3 o'clock from next month. So that is the start of the new offering that we are giving to people. And Hot Topic will continue for the Platinum Ramblers, and that'll become a weekly show as well. And the Ramblers in general, but the Platinum Ramblers will get to participate. Thank you to everyone that continues to support the channel. It allows us to do stuff like this and try and level us up. So, what do we know about Emirhan Topcu? Not an awful lot, if we're honest. I have done some reading up. Look, these videos, I don't know what it's doing to me because it's making me do some work before I come live and just blab. So I have had a little look about, I have done a bit of research into who this guy is. I'm going to have to do this, I think, if we continue to get linked with foreign names that nobody's heard of. I can't just sit back and rely on knowing a little bit about Harry Darling or knowing a little bit about Jimmy Dunn. Who is Emirhan Topcu? So, what we know about him, I can tell you, and I've put it as a medium link because this link has come from a Turkish source, about 7,500 followers online. This is the latest that I'd seen it anyway, and it picked up a little bit of traction because he's got a decent following online. I don't know his track record, this guy, but it's been replicated in several places, so people are starting to talk about it. There may be some substance to it. Now, you know, I'm not a stats man. I believe in the eye test considerably. I think stats will tell you things that you need to know, a little bit about their stamina, a little bit about how they get about the pitch in the engine room and stuff like that. All the cliches that you can. Like physical attributes, I think stats are really good for. Other things I think can be significantly manipulated, such as a centre-half, for example. This is a centre-back, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but a centre-back having passing stats at 99%. Well, if you're passing along the back line to your mate when there's no danger, it doesn't mean anything as a statistic. It doesn't mean that he's a better passer than an Ollie Norwood in the centre of midfield, for example. So stats can be interpreted in several different ways and can be made to fit a narrative. However, with this lad, I'm assuming, and apologies to those that may be well in the know, I'm assuming not a lot of us know hardly anything about this guy, even though he's playing for a top club in Besiktas. So I've put it down as a medium likelihood or sort of medium interest from Sheffield United. We can see here on screen, he's a Turkish international player, 24 years old, and I've briefly mentioned that he is a centre-half. Well, interestingly enough, the question that usually comes up at Sheffield United, particularly when I'm in the conversation, is what foot does he use? He's a left footer. He's a left-footed centre-half, which immediately makes me think, are we looking at potential, if this is a true link to a player, are we looking at improvements in that area of the pitch? And that, for me, is a positive. A lot of people are Jack Robinson fans. He's a bit of a cult figure at United, and I think the fact people like myself talking out about him makes other people who like him stronger towards him. It's never been anything personal with Jack Robinson. I just don't think he is a top-end Championship defender. And if we are looking to upgrade, it's a 180 here in terms of cutting the sentiment at Sheffield United. He started with the biggest fish of all, and Chris Wilder being removed from his position as manager. There is zero sentiment now with this new regime. I think Ryan Brewster goes. I've said previously, I think Jack Robinson possibly goes. It certainly looks like we're looking at a potential replacement for him here. So, what do we know about him? He's 6'1"-ish. I say that because he's 188 centimetres, same as me. So, sometimes I'm 6'1", sometimes I'm 6'1.5", sometimes I'm 6'1.5" an inch. Depends how I'm standing that day. So, not the tallest of centre halves, but certainly not short by any means. We know that he's 20 years old. FootMob and Transfer Market are the two sites that I use for my information on these. And FootMob tends to tell you a little bit about the clubs he's played for, the number of minutes, the games, how they rate him as a player. They tell you about... You can go as deep into stats as you want with these. And again, we don't go too stats heavy, but we'll have to focus on it a little bit just to give you an idea. And Transfer Market, no E in the market if you want to have a little look yourself, tells you about their contract situation and estimated value and who their agent is, all that sort of thing. So, looking at FootMob stats here, he played, as you can, I don't think it's on screen at the minute because it only listed his Europa campaign, but he's played 28 matches for Besiktas this season in the Super League. 20 of them he's started, which I find interesting because obviously 8 times not starting, you don't see centre-backs coming on an awful lot. And that may be because he can also play left-back. So maybe he's come on at certain times as a left-back. There's nowhere really for me to tell here where what the situation is there. Overall in his career, he's played 39 times for Besiktas since August 2024. That will include part of the Europa League campaign. This season, he's played 8 times in the Europa League. So we are potentially getting, and it is potential, if he may not even come, but we are potentially getting a European standard footballer here in terms of players we've been linked to it. I think it's a level up. I think it appears to be a level up. I say this, then you look at his stats, and they are not the best. Not the best. So here's an example of what I was talking about earlier with the passing statistics. In possession, Topc-Who has had 8 successful dribbles. So that could be anything. That could be moving the ball 5 yards in possession as the opposition stands off. And he's had 80% success with those dribble stats. What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything, does it? Unless it's like an L. You could frame it like it's similar to an L, where an L gets the ball and gallops forward into the middle of the park, plays a 1-2 with the full-back or the winger, gets it back and has a strike on goal, that sort of thing, like an L tends to do when he's in that mood. We don't know the context around this, do we? It could simply be he's in possession and brings it forward 10 yards as everybody stands off him. So this is where I think stats fall down. It also says he's won 17 tackles, which is just over 51% of the tackles presented to him. Now, I did a video on Ashley Phillips on Friday, and people had said, oh, well, it seems like he might be positioning himself well and things like that. Well, you could argue that Ashley Phillips, by the way, is no longer linked to Sheffield United from what I understand, because new Tottenham coach Thomas Frank wants to keep him and have a look. That's the latest from Alan Nixon. Take it with a pinch of salt. So I understand that, and this is exactly right. You could determine it however you want to determine it. I would say that winning just over 50% of your tackles as a defender doesn't jump out as a great stat, but there may be other context to it. So I can only give you what's in front of me in black and white. His duels won is just less than 60% of his duels with the centre forward, you would assume. And in terms of his aerial duels, not being the tallest player, but he's won nearly 56% of his aerial duels. So to me, it doesn't jump off the page as incredible. But we also have to relate that to the standard he's playing it at as well, which is the Super League a similar level to the Championship? Maybe. I would have a little venture as to say it's varied in terms of the top Turkish sides being much, much better than the Championship, and the bottom Turkish sides maybe being either similar or slightly less standard than the Championship. But he's playing at a high level. He has played in European football. He's got 7 yellow cards this season, which is an awful lot. It's like 1 every 4 games. Do we have another Gus Amer on our hands here in terms of a discipline concern? You don't want to be giving away daft free kicks in dangerous areas, dear, but that might be something for us to consider. His contract, according to Transfer Market, doesn't run out until 2028. He signed a 4-year deal in August 2024 when he signed from Rizespor, I think it was. Rizespor, yeah. He signed then for around 3 million quid because they do it all in euros, so they've got it as 3.4 million. And he's played a significant amount of football for them. So what do we think overall to this as a potential signing? I like it. I like it if it's around the £5 million mark. Now, we had an interesting discussion. It was on the watch-along when I was doing it with Lee. We had an interesting discussion around, do we need a statement signing and what is a statement signing? We were sort of feeding off the comments that came in. A statement signing would be a £10 million defender. If he comes in for 10 million quid, are people more excited than if we get him for 5 million quid? Which, in one sense, doesn't make sense, does it? So, it's a really interesting link. I think in terms of profile, it's levels us up in terms of we've not really been linked with this calibre of player before. So, I don't know. I don't know is the honest answer what to think about it, but I'm not doing it for that. I want to know your thoughts on it. I've gone over again. I know I have. I always tend to do this. But I wanted to get as much information as I could to you within this 10-minute window. We have got a bit of injury time because it's me that's presenting this thing and I can't keep my gob shut. But let me know what you think. Is it time for us to upgrade on Jackie Robinson? Is probably the big question. Even if it's not Topc-Who that comes in, it's interesting that we are starting to be linked with left-footed, left-sided centre-halves. And does it need to be that under Sheyaj? Could it be 2 right-footed centre-halves and Robinson still comes out of the team? Or do you keep Robinson in because you think he deserves another chance? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Very much appreciated. Come on, you red and white wizards. Up the blades!